Hello everybody, my name is Kim. I'm currently a full stack developer in Toronto, mainly focused in React Native for mobile app development and also web development. So for today's topic, I would love to share with you guys about some of the blockage from journey to being a developer without any computer science background. And I think this is can align with a lot of what you are also experiencing currently. And so I hope this conversation will be a way that you can keep yourself motivated. So the first thing is like during your studying, have you ever feel stuck and like frustrated and want to give up in the middle of a way? Like you set yourself a target like 6 months, but then not only 2 weeks, you feel you don't make any progress, just look at the code and then you start to forget what you learned the day before. And I think the fact that is really true. When I first started, I there's some day that I just don't want to code anymore, because learning coding, the first it kind of be a really lonely journey. The fact that you look at the computer maybe a couple hours every single day, you stuck at the problem, and like nobody around can help you to solve it unless like you go googling. And but also like when you Google, you have see a lot of information was out there, but in order to capture that information and try to absorb the knowledge from there take you a lot of time. So that is my experience at that point, that if you experience that, that's totally normal. Like even like after a year being a software engineer, I stuck with the problem every single day at work. But it just become normal, because a description of a software engineer is you will be ability to debug, which means there's a lot of bugs in the code base and you try to figure out what is the solution. So those point when you're learning, you will learn a lot of like problem solving skill and how to make the big problem separate into like a smaller one and to solve it one by one. But don't try to measure it like on a weekly basis of your progress of what you learn. But I think it's a better way, like after a month you're looking back at like capture the material that you learned and see did you actually get better of it. So like for example, I still like learning a lot of Python, a lot of basic functional Python lately. I still feel it's like a new material every time I looking back, so it's totally fine. I get you. Yeah. And the second, being a software engineer, like doing the develop, like studying, I think is really a really good opportunity for you to reflect on yourself. Why I say this is that, why do you want to become a software? Is it like because you want to make more money, or it's just because you are curious? When I started it, I think it's just because my curiosity led to a really big, I'm like a huge fan for tech and really like coding. Like even after work, I just spend like hours like coding and like build my personal project, or even like learn anything new, so like machine learning and AI. And I feel tired like physically, but like mentally I feel I'm pretty happy about it, which means that this is like a career that if you like to solve the unknown things, I think you're gonna be definitely like successful in it. I joined a lot of conference on the weekend, and like how people saying like the different aspect of machine learning, AI, and I feel really happy like knowing a little bit more every day. So like if you will be able to choose a topic that you extremely like curious about, or you want to know, or you heard it like, oh, like another person used like computer vision to detect human or like detect any object on the road, and you feel happy about it, I think it's gonna help you to build more information, like connect the knot. And after you know the technology itself, you definitely like remember it in a really good way, and it keeps you challenged and also entertained at the same time. So for example, for myself, I learn mobile development, but in the future, because I'm like curious about machine learning as well. So my next project is gonna be like embed some simple machine learning into my mobile development, and like either like make an API connect to a Google machine learning algorithm. Yeah, how is it from there? Just keep you entertained in the sense that being in tech is really abstract, but until you achieve it, that level of achievement, I don't think you can get it anywhere else. And the third point that I would love to talk about is that if you become a software engineer, remember is to avoid any burnout that might possibly cause you. If you make a goal for yourself to study like 6 months to become a software engineer, which usually shorter than it should be, like when you go to a boot camp for 3 months, just don't expect you're gonna be a software engineer in 3 months, because in reality it's a lot of aspect than just like taking the boot camp, because you need to prep for your on-site interview, but it's not like a regular finance interview. You also need to know the data structure, depends on the size of the company. If you go for big tech, you definitely need to learn it. That's why I have the book in my bookshelf, like a lot of data structure. I read it every single day to expand my knowledge. And when the knowledge like in your brain, whenever time it's like it brought up during the conversation with anyone, you definitely like gonna remember right away what you have learned. So those are like repetition, time consistent, and just don't stress yourself out if you don't finish the coding exercise or writing like a solution to a question that your teacher gave you. Don't push your stress too much on yourself. Like honestly, everyone want to have a really high income, and also like I need to go to a big tech company, but at the end of the day, like your mental health is really important. Just make a small step and be consistent, instead of like take 4 hours learning on the weekend. Maybe you can extend the time to study like 1 or 45 minutes each day after work if you're working full-time in another industry, because in that sense when you combine everything together, then the amount of time is pretty much the same. But if you study like a week a day or like Saturday and Sunday, you tend to forget things because there's no repetition in the learning. And also like after a week, you definitely need at least like 30 to 40 minutes to figure out what I've learned last week. So that I think is really useful when I try to learn a new technology. Just give yourself some time every single day. Either don't have to code about it, just read a news about it, and or even like watch a movie or watch a YouTube about the topic that you're interested. Yeah, it's gonna give you really consistent about the topic that you're trying to learn. The next piece that I realized like after being a software engineer is that software engineer is not just about writing code, but it's also about the problem solving pieces. Whenever there's like a problem in your code, you still need to figure out what caused the issue. And like when you develop like a new feature, doesn't mean that it's right away can be used, but there's like something in the past that need to be refactored, which means there's like some previous code base that you need to change a little bit before you add in a new code to the current project. And I think those skills really help me to build really a foundation in terms of predicting what risk can happen in a project, and also what is the solution when developing those features. So those are the skills, and your ability to communicate when there's a problem to either your coworker or your friends, and will be able to explain the concept clearly. I think those are really useful. So when you learn a new subject, for software development. And if you was able to like explain in the plain language, like less than a minute to the person in front of you, or just by explain to yourself, if you can explain it and you feel confident, definitely you already able to understand the material about 80%. So those are like this self-explanatory will be really useful, kind of assess your what you learn and if whether you fully understand it. And the next key point, when I try to understand like a new data structure type and apply to any coding interview problem, is that sometimes I read through the solution and I try to redo it, but the day after I don't remember how I did it or don't know, and even I write it back, I don't fully understand it. So the key takeaways from here is that try to build a foundation from what you learn on the day that you learn it. Like, don't try to memorize the code, it's never work. I used to do that when I first started, like memorize all of like if else statement and what is a stack, what is a queue in the data structure, but it's never ended pretty well because I right away I forget everything it is. So I got the advice from my friend is that understand the fundamental is more important than just knowing to solve a problem at the time. Yeah, I think it's really useful in the future when you go into an interview or just like discuss this with your coworker, a technology that you talked about, and like expand what you know before, because the fundamental, I think at this point I still need to learn a lot from there. Yeah, thanks everyone. I hope it's really useful. If you like are learning about technologies or want to transition over, so I hope this experience can help you along the way, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye bye.